He was trained to detect explosives, to sniff out danger where machines failed. But that day, on the edge of a takeoff zone, Diesel the K9 refused to move, not because of fear, not because of confusion, but because something was wrong, and he was the only one who knew it. Officer Rachel Torres had been partnered with Diesel, a 3-year-old Belgian Malinois, for nearly 2 years. In that time, the pair had developed a quiet, unshakable rhythm, an intuitive understanding of each other that didn't need words. Diesel wasn't just a detection dog. He was certified in identifying minute mechanical anomalies, trained to pick up on the subtlest shifts in scent, signatures of overheating wires, leaking fuel, or compromised components. Where machines relied on diagnostics, Diesel relied on instinct sharpened by evolution and precision training. On that particular morning, Rachel and Diesel were deployed as part of a specialized support unit for a high-priority relief operation. A devastating landslide had cut off access to a remote mountain community, leaving several injured civilians stranded without supplies or medical support. Helicopter transport was the only viable option to get aid in and to evacuate the wounded. The atmosphere at the forward operating base was tense but focused. The weather forecast wasn't promising. Thickening cloud cover, rapidly dropping. Pressure and incoming wind shear. Every hour that passed made the flight more dangerous and the need more urgent. The team had only one bird available for the mission, a dual-rotor transport helicopter prepped for medical logistics. All routine. Pre-flight inspections had been completed by certified mechanics just hours before. The aircraft sat on the tarmac, rotors still, engines cold, but seemingly ready. Enter Captain Jonah Harris, a seasoned pilot with over 1,800 logged flight hours, most of them in less than ideal conditions. Harris was widely respected for his calm under pressure and intolerance for nonsense. Efficient, exacting, and direct, he ran a tight cockpit and had little patience for what he considered non-essential protocols. He'd flown through storms and medevaced wounded from conflict zones, but he'd never flown with a detection dog on his checklist. "Let's keep the animals out of the diagnostics," Harris had muttered earlier that morning. "We've got trained eyes and working gauges. That's enough." Rachel didn't respond. She'd heard that kind of skepticism before. Diesel didn't need approval to do his job, he just needed to be allowed to work. Final clearance was given. The engines, word to life. The cargo doors were open and supplies were being loaded. Medical staff prepared to board alongside the pilot and co-pilot. Rachel gave Diesel the hand signal to perform his standard pre-flight pass. The dog moved methodically, nose low, weaving around the landing gear, fuel tanks, and undercarriage. Nothing unusual. Then he reached the rear ramp and stopped. He stood at full alert, ears forward, body stiff, gaze locked on the tail section. Rachel called to him, but Diesel didn't budge. No bark, no growl, just complete refusal to move from the ramp. It wasn't defiance. It was warning, and it would soon become clear that this silent protest was the only thing standing between a mission and a potential disaster. Rachel crouched beside Diesel, keeping her voice calm. "What is it, boy?" she asked, placing a hand gently on his flank. He didn't look at her. His entire focus remained locked, laser straight, on the rear fuselage just below the tail, rotor housing. His muscles were rigid, hackles barely raised. This wasn't confusion. It was certainty. She tried again, giving the release command. Diesel didn't move. Flight crew members nearby exchanged glances, the tension starting to rise. One of the ground staff approached, arms out slightly as if trying to herd the dog away. Rachel stopped him with a look. "Diesel's trying to tell us something." "Tell him to do it fast," came the sharp voice of Captain Harris over the comms. "We're on a deadline. We've got people waiting on that mountaintop. We don't have time for hesitation." Rachel keyed her radio calmly. "Understood, sir, but my partner's never false alarmed. Not once in 2 years. I'm requesting a manual check of the aft housing immediately." A heavy silence followed. From the cockpit, Harris's frustrated sigh crackled over the channel. Fine. You've got 10 minutes. Then we lift. Dog or no dog? The maintenance crew groaned but moved to comply. One technician knelt beside the ramp, muttering under his breath as he unlocked a seldom-used auxiliary access panel beneath the rear threshold. The latches gave with a metallic pop, and the panel dropped open. For a second, no one spoke. Then the technician leaned closer, brow furrowing. You'd better come take a look at this." His earlier irritation had vanished, replaced now by something else entirely. Concern. Real, unmistakable concern. Rachel stepped forward as the other crew members gathered behind the technician, who was now carefully examining a bundled segment of wiring and an adjacent mounting bracket near. "The tail rotor control assembly. What am I looking at?" Harris asked as he walked over, now clearly agitated. The tech pointed to a section where the insulation appeared scorched and brittle, like it had been exposed to localized heat. Just below it, a mounting bolt meant to secure the tail rotors. Pitch control linkage showed a jagged hairline crack, barely visible but unmistakable. "Stress damage," the technician muttered. "And not the kind you'd find from regular wear. That bolt's compromised. It could shear off mid-flight under the right pressure." "Would diagnostics have caught it?" Harris asked, tightly. The technician shook his head. "Not unless we pulled this panel. And we only did that because—" He trailed off, turning toward Diesel, who still hadn't moved from his position, still alert, still watching. Rachel looked back at the pilot. He knew. No one argued, and in that moment, urgency gave way to something heavier. Realization. Something had nearly gone catastrophically wrong, and it was only the instincts of a four-legged partner that had kept it from happening. The technician's gloved hand reached into the now open panel, carefully peeling back more of the heat-damaged insulation. A sharp, bitter smell hit the air, a mixture of scorched plastic and something more caustic. "Charred," he muttered, voice tight with concern. "This harness is cooked from the inside." The wiring, once tightly bundled and protected, now showed clear signs of a short, blackened copper exposed where the plastic sheath had melted completely away. A closer inspection revealed the harness ran directly to the tail rotor control. "Relay." The implication spread fast through the team like a dropped wrench in a quiet hangar. "This relay feeds tail pitch commands," the technician explained, looking up grimly. "You lose it. You lose control of lateral yaw entirely." Another tech climbed up with a flashlight, scanning the adjacent lines. "Here," he said, voice dropping. "Hydraulic line runs parallel. If that arc had bridged while airborne, he—" didn't finish. Rachel's eyes narrowed. "Would have ignited the hydraulic fluid, wouldn't it?" The technician nodded, expression grim. "Jet A and hydraulic fluid under pressure. One spark in the wrong place, and it's not just loss of control. It's fire. Mid-air." Captain Harris stood nearby, silent for a long beat as he took in the damage. This would have started a fire in flight," he said finally, voice low, his earlier bravado gone. "We wouldn't have had time to react. Not with the terrain up there. Not with this weather." No one spoke. Rachel stepped back toward Diesel, who was now seated beside the ramp but still alert, head slightly tilted, watching the proceedings with the patience of a seasoned veteran. She knelt down slowly, scratching behind his ear. "You saved us again, partner." Diesel licked his lips once, then looked back toward the open panel. His mission still not over, his mind still on duty. Behind them, the technicians moved with newfound urgency, the casual rhythm of routine, maintenance now replaced by the quick, methodical focus of a full teardown. Every inch of the aircraft's tail assembly was being inspected, every inch rechecked. And none of it would have happened if not for Diesel planting himself on that ramp, refusing to move. The full inspection continued under harsh fluorescent lights, revealing the true source of the problem. It wasn't sabotage. Instead, investigators uncovered an unauthorized maintenance adjustment, performed in haste by a subcontractor trying to cut corners. A loose wire had rubbed against metal, generating friction and heat over time until the insulation finally burned through. The realization settled like a weight. Not a calculated attack, but severe negligence that could have cost lives. The relief mission was delayed. A backup helicopter was quickly prepped, its engines warming as the crew shifted gears to salvage what they could of the tight schedule. Captain Harris finally approached Officer Rachel Torres and Diesel, his tone stripped of earlier skepticism. "Your partner just saved our lives," he said quietly, his eyes meeting Rachel's with genuine gratitude. Diesel, still alert but relaxed now, received a rare moment of recognition from the flight team. Hands reached down to ruffle his ears, and quiet words of thanks were exchanged. The tension in the hangar softened just enough to acknowledge the bond between Handler and Canine, a partnership built on trust and instinct. A technical expert stepped forward, explaining how Diesel's keen nose had detected something invisible to human senses. When insulation burns, it releases microscopic particles, volatile compounds that alter the chemical composition of the air around them. Humans can't detect this at all. But a dog's olfactory system? It's millions of times more sensitive. Rachel nodded, proud but not surprised. Diesel wasn't just sensing danger, he was detecting the molecular changes before anyone else could even see the damage. Harris looked down at Diesel once more, a hint of a smile breaking through. "In all my years flying, I never imagined the most critical alert system would be a dog on a ramp." The team prepared to resume the mission with reinforced safety checks and a renewed respect for the unique partnership that had just averted disaster. And for Rachel and Diesel, the day was a reminder. Sometimes the most extraordinary tools come on 4 paws. In the days following the incident, Diesel was honored with a unit commendation, a symbol of bravery and sharp instinct rarely awarded to Canine partners. A custom tag engraved with the title Guardian of the Skies was fastened proudly to his harness, a visible reminder of the life-saving role he played. Across the aviation unit, changes were swiftly proposed. Diesel's extraordinary detection had prompted a new protocol, adding Canine inspection clearance to pre-flight procedures for certain missions, recognizing that sometimes the best security systems are the ones with noses and paws. Officer Rachel Torres reflected on the experience with quiet pride. "He didn't just follow his training," she said softly. "Diesel trusted his instincts, and that saved us all." Captain Harris, once skeptical, now a believer, admitted with respect. "I've flown for 15 years and never saw a dog ground a flight, for good reason. But this was exactly the right call." Their words underscored a new era of trust, a partnership where human expertise and canine intuition combined to protect lives above the clouds. And as Diesel settled back into his routine, alert and ready, one thing was clear. In aviation, the skies are safer with a dog on the ramp. No advanced sensor caught what Diesel did. It wasn't technology, but trust, instincts, and an extraordinary bond between human and canine that prevented disaster. Sometimes, the best protection comes on 4 paws. Have you ever witnessed an animal sense danger before humans could? Would you have trusted Diesel's warning in this critical moment? Do you think canine inspections should become mandatory in high-risk operations? If you believe working dogs deserve more recognition, hit that like button, subscribe, and tap the bell icon so you never miss another true story of canine heroism. And don't forget to check out our other incredible canine stories now appearing on your screen.